Peterson from Heartland Farm Partners is our marketing analyst this week. There is a crop currently in the ground across the Midwest, and it isn't faring well. The USDA's weekly crop bulletin shows the drop in U.S. winter wheat condition from autumn to spring ties the modern-day record for biggest decline set during the 1995 to 1996 growing season. 32% of this year's crop is rated as poor or very poor. Meanwhile, cool weather continues to limit spring corn planting. The first progress report from the USDA puts corn planting at 3% complete, 3 points off the 5-year average. 1% of Nebraska's corn is in the ground, matching the state's 5-year average. Nebraska's National Agricultural Statistics Service says those planted fields are in southern counties of the state. In the markets, soybeans climbed above $15 per bushel on the futures contract and led the conversation when we talked with Jeff Thursday afternoon. Soybeans closed lower today, but they'll gain ground on the week since there's no trading on Friday. One of the big issues that's starting to weigh down soybeans is China canceling cargoes and maybe having some credit issues as well. How much is this impacting the market?
You know, it is. Everybody's very concerned. Anytime, Jeff, there's that type of uncertainty, just on the contracts that they've canceled out of so far, that's cost everybody, approaching probably $300 million, which that's a big number. The only time we've seen a bigger number that way would have been back in '04 when it cost us about $700 million. So that is something that's concerning the market.
So if it's a concern now, how long does the concern go? Is there a concern that it might also weigh on the 2014 crop?
Well, it is, but we've got one other bigger challenge out there, and that's our old crop situation that's happening in the U.S. So that's a world situation going on, but what happened is that China took so many beans from the U.S., they put us in a situation where we're very, very tight on stocks here in the U.S.
Meaning what?
Meaning what we have to end up doing is that we have to actually import the most beans that we've probably ever imported. 65 million bushels is currently what we need to bring in from somewhere else, or we have to slow up the amount of shipments that are going out. And we really don't have that many bushels left to ship out.
Right. What do the crush margins look like right now? That's been a strength for soybeans.
It has. It's been a strength here in the U.S., and actually our last report that came out from NOPA, they actually had one of our largest March we've really had in the last 4 years. And that would indicate that year to date, we're about 2% ahead of last year on our crush when USDA believes we're going to be lower. However, in China, the situation's much different.
Right.
When they're crushing a bushel of soybeans, they're losing about $2.50. So that's contributing to some of their problems they're seeing over there.
And reportedly, that's the big reason why they're having credit problems over there as well.
Yes, that is. And that comes back to your point you brought up in the beginning, is in the end, we will solve this tightness in the U.S. We believe at the end of the day, though, that is going to mean there will be some weakness down the road. So even though we're seeing very good prices now, that doesn't mean they'll stay around forever.
Are you surprised at how strong the crush margins are here in the U.S.?
Yeah, I am, I guess. But as I think back on it, as I think about what we're seeing for margins in poultry and the margin in the hog industry, it probably shouldn't surprise me too much. But the crush margins are stronger and have been holding in very well.
Let's talk about 2014 sales. Is this an opportunity to make a few more?
I think it is. This is the type of market, as we've talked about before in previous shows, that you want to continue to sell into this strength. This is also the type of year, though, that if you aren't willing to defend those sales by maybe the purchase of options, go with these sales slowly, but definitely please make sales on the way up on this move.
A continued story in corn has also been the cancellation of corn cargoes going into China because of GM concerns. Is this something that continues, and has it had an effect on prices?
I think it would. Under a normal situation, had we not had some other factors going on out there in the world, and had we have not seen other countries step up, I think it would have played a bigger role. It's probably pulled our prices back just a little bit, but the corn market has maintained some good strength. It's been able to coast along on a lot of the strength that's been coming out of the soybean market.
Some strength in the ethanol market as well?
The strength in the ethanol market. The crush margins have been very good for the ethanol plants. Now that we're getting some better temps out there, it's allowing some of the rail cars to move around more freely, and that has allowed to see more product moving out. Now, that's kind of a double-edged sword. It does mean that the ethanol prices have backed off a little bit, but overall we're still seeing good margins, and the plants continue to run at or above nameplate capacity.
Old crop corn on the futures market at least riding around $5, certainly less than that on a cash basis, but where would you try to be a seller at?
I would continue to be a scale-up seller here. Actually, this week we're also seeing some improvement on the basis side, so we're seeing some of the processors step up there also. So I'd be getting to a point on this move where I wouldn't have too many bushels left when this move gets over.
What about new crop?
New crop, same type of thing. I'd use this, as we sit back, one thing we kind of forget about is that since the beginning of the year, the old crop supply has dropped about 500 million bushels. That's a big drop in order to get it to these levels. As we look forward, we believe that we're going to have carryout supplies close to 2 billion bushels. And as a result of this, when this move gets done, we do want to have most of our old and new crop bushels sold. Be ready to defend them, though, if we see weather conditions change in the summer.
There is a real concern right now about that winter wheat crop because even though it's in bad condition now, there's not a lot of moisture where it's growing. Moving forward, can this still ride on prices?
Yeah, it definitely is having an impact. I mean, even this week, we had some cool temperatures come in. Everybody's trying to sort out that impact. So a combination of the dry conditions and also those cool temps are definitely putting a hurt on the wheat market, and I think it can provide some support.
Internationally, Ukraine still having an impact on both corn and wheat?
Yes, it is, most definitely. Actually, probably a little bit more of an impact. We know that ever since the event started, there's been some premium that's been brought into this market. This last week, when the attention moved away, from Crimea and that area to more of just the eastern Ukraine area, when we saw the troops stack up along the border there, that added a little more premium to this market, and that premium is going to stay in there until we see that situation resolved. Challenge, it could be some time before that's resolved, though.